There was one night I was 12, but I saw myself standing on a battlefield completely covered in blood-stained armor. And that night was the night that the Lord showed up and told me who I was. And he was like, you have no idea the road that I have set before you. You're a little too young to understand now, but just know that I have called you to be a general in my army. You know, people talk about holy laughter. Like, I'm over here having this like terrible, like demonic experience. And then it was like almost like a lid came down on me, and it was just like perfect holy peace and laughter. And I fell asleep that night like laughing, like just so like completely immersed in like the perfect peace of the Lord.
Welcome to another episode of Empowered Woman of God. We have Anna Scholten in the room.
Hello.
I hope I didn't butcher the last name too much, but she is a 21-year-old on fire for God. I just love her energy. She's doing stuff. She's laughing over here, but it is the truth, because if you met Hannah, you automatically meet her personality, and you right away know that she is in love with God, that he's her first love. And so I'm just excited. So welcome to our podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's like the highest form of like a compliment like one could receive. Like, you could just totally love the Lord. I'm like, that's the whole point. Like, that's just awesome.
Yeah, you exemplify it. You embody everything that is Christ-like. And so I'm happy to have you on.
I'm happy to be here.
Well, I know our listeners are like, so who is this girl that's on fire for God? Mm-hmm. You know, where is she from? What is she doing? What is her, let's tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm 21 years old. I was born and raised in Washington. So I was born in Bellevue, and then I was raised in Spokane, Washington, for 18 years.
Oh.
And so my parents are up there, my brothers, my whole family. I have no, that's not true. I have
let's get it right.
3 family members that are down here. So my aunt, and then I have a couple cousins that are down here as well. So from the Pacific Northwest, went to high school up there. And then when I was my senior year of high school, I toured a couple of campuses down in Houston because I knew I wanted to go to college out of state. And so I was really toying with the idea of like Montana, Colorado, and then Texas as well. So I originally wanted to go to Baylor. And that's the reason why I even took the trip down to Houston. I've been coming to Houston since I was like 14 years old because my aunt's down here and her and I are very close. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to go to Baylor, applied to Baylor, got into Baylor, and Baylor was like, you need to pay $50,000 for your tuition every year. And I was like,
every year.
That's funny. I love how you think I have that kind of money. I don't. So, and like, I come from a single parent household. So, and like, this is part of my testimony, which we can get into, but like my parents are divorced. So my father, who is my primary guardian, has one income. And so it was when I was looking for colleges, like finances were a really big part of that decision. I'm a student at Houston Christian University. I'm in my senior year. I'm an English major with a minor in biblical studies, and I'm hoping to go on and do grad school. At least that's the plan for right now, but we know God.
Oh, yeah.
So he's like, actually, we're going to go all the way over here, and you had no idea. But how I got there was I went on a tour the summer before my senior year, and I really loved the campus. I loved the vibe. It was very small, very homey. And I was like, yeah, I'll submit an application. Like, we'll just see what happens. And then I did, and I got admitted in October, and I got like a fat scholarship there.
A fat scholarship. I love how you said that.
It was hefty.
It was hefty.
I saw the number in the mail, and I was like, oh, okay. So that kind of solidified the decision, which it was kind of like all other doors, like all other possibilities just kind of closed. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, he'll do that. And so I kind of had a direction, and I had peace about it. And so I was really excited. And like the way that my dad raised me was like, he's been conditioning me, honestly. Also a big part of my testimony is him. And so,
shout out to dad.
Shout out to dads.
You raised an amazing young lady.
So but he was like, no, when you're 18, like, you got to go. Like, you got to get out. You got to like become you like away from me and your mom. Like, you have to go. And
Wow.
so I went. I
Mm.
left. And so he drove me down, and it was like those are some of my fondest memories. Is like our drives back and forth between Houston and Spokane.
Wow. What's
So
that? What's that time like?
we took well, like if you go straight through, it's like a day and a half, like straight, no stops. But we would take 4 or 5 days to do it because he would combine it with business. And so we would
Okay.
stop in different towns, and he'd go meet with clients, and then I would sit in the car and read my books and hang out.
Oh, daddy-daughter time.
Very much
anyway.
so. Yep. So but yeah, and then moved down here, and that's I mean, it's all kind of like this large framework of like my testimony, but like my life really changed once I left Washington.
Wow. Wow. I love that you took a chance. You said you got that fat scholarship,
I did.
and that was your decision from Baylor to the Houston.
That was the physical evidence of the decision that I needed to make. Because I mean, I've been praying about it. I thought that when I had graduated high school that we weren't going to have enough money for me to go to school, period. Or if I would have to go to like a community college near home, I did not want to stay at home. I wanted to leave. I wanted to get out. I had already gotten into a couple of programs at HCU. I got into the honors college. And so I was already doing the work for that, like the summer homework. And so just to have like that possibility to be taken away last minute, like it was very nerve wracking and very anxiety inducing. And so once like the finances, and like honestly, like I could share so many testimonials about the Lord and my finances. But once the scholarship funds hit, I was like, okay, that's enough for me to actually move,
Right. So that was a big determining factor.
Yeah.
That next step.
Yep.
So I know I've been saying she's on fire for God. She's just like boom, boom, boom. She's like, she loves God. But where did that relationship really start with you and God?
Yeah.
What did that journey look like?
Okay. So both my parents are Christian, and like, I just like want to preface one thing that's unique about my story is that my relationship with both of my parents is like miraculous. My parents are divorced. We had a number of years where my relationship with my mother was very strained, and my relationship with my father was under attack. So like a number of really hard years, being a child of divorce, and then my parents going through multiple custody battles for me. Like it has not always been easy, but my parents' relationship with God was what really, I believe, set the foundation for me and my brothers to walk out in freedom, like completely set apart from like the rest of like the family's kind of like direction.
Right.
So like I'm so my grandmother, she's got, I don't know, 1 million grandkids. I'm one of very few that is actually actively walking with the Lord. Like most of our family is not. So shout out to both of them because their relationship with God set the framework and the foundation. However, my relationship with the Lord didn't really become my own. I have markers. I remember being like 6 and having this really deep love for the Lord. I would say this is really interesting, and not many like people I know talk about this, but I would say that my spiritual giftings came first before the love, I guess. So I was like, a 10-year-old, an 11-year-old having these very intense nightly encounters. Part of my testimony, I'll tell people, I was tormented like in my nightmares for years, like very heavy anxiety, chronic abandonment issues because of everything that had happened with my parents. And so like my discernment and my my awareness of the spiritual realm, I would say actually was sharpened first before I really had an understanding of who God was and his character. So there was one night I was 12. I had a really bad night. I was having a sleepover with one of my best friends at the time. And while she was sleeping soundly on the bottom bunk of my bed, I was on the top bunk and I was being tormented. And that night was the night that the Lord showed up and told me who I was. And so he came to me in a dream and he wrote me a letter in the dream. And he was like, you have no idea the road that I have set before you. You're a little too young to understand now, but just know that I have called you to be a general in my army.
And this is
And I
at
was
12.
like, at 12. And I did not know what that meant, but I saw myself standing on a battlefield completely covered in bloodstained armor. And so I was like, God, what does this mean? Like, and that was the same night that I had really experienced, like, people talk about holy laughter. Like, I'm over here having this like terrible, like demonic experience. And then it was like almost like a lid came down on me, and it was just like perfect holy peace and laughter. And I fell asleep at night, like laughing, like just so like completely immersed in like the perfect peace of the Lord. And so I made a decision at 12. I was driving, I think it was with my mom. I was sitting in the backseat of the car, and my parents had been talking to me about like the age of accountability, and kind of what that looks like of like really making that decision for yourself. And so I remember sitting in the backseat of my car, and I just was looking out the window. We were like driving down the freeway, and I just started crying, like just like tears rolling down my eyes, started crying. And I was like, Lord, I want to be yours. And that was probably in the same month or so of that encounter. And so that was one marker. Went throughout middle school. I was very different in middle school. Most of my friends were not into the right stuff, and I could never fully follow, even though I tried my best to. Like I tried.
You try to fit in.
I tried to fit in, and the world just spits you out. They don't want it.
No.
They don't like
God doesn't want it.
Well, God doesn't want it, but they don't want you either.
Right.
Like, you're like, no,
you're different.
You're different. They don't like the conviction. They don't like truth, all of that comes in. And so I went throughout high school. I had a pretty awesome high school experience. Most of my friends weren't Christian. I definitely wouldn't say that I was on fire in high school, but high school was good to me. I had a lot of friends. I did all the things. I played sports. I was in music. I was in theater. Very normal high school experience. However, on the backside of that, when I was getting ready to gear up and go to college, there was something inside of me. I mean, being in a more liberal and progressive side of town, a lot of the things that I was engaging in, like, I'm a completely different person now than I was at 16. 16-year-old Hannah will look at me now and be like, appalled. She'd be like, you've been brainwashed, dude. Like, you're nuts. I was like all like the activists for like the not right stuff. You know what I mean? And even like kind of like everyone has that like rebellious phase.
Right.
I can't really say that like mine was as drastic as other people, but it was all mental. It was the rejection of certain ideologies. So like maybe not an action, but an identity. And so I would like tell my parents, like, I'm like, I don't want to hear anything about the Lord. Like, I don't care. It's not like look at all the violence. This was in the middle of the pandemic. They wouldn't let me get the COVID shot. And I was so mad because I couldn't participate in the things that my friends were doing because they just wouldn't let me get it. I'm thankful for them now, but like I was just angry. I just had like anger, trying to fit in, and also like trying to do what my friends were doing. All of them had boyfriends. They were out. I didn't have my first kiss until I was 20 years old. Like I was so I had a lot of anger, a lot of identity issues. But at the latter half of my senior year, I really started feeling convicted and was like, I think I need to get baptized. Like I was like, I think I need to get baptized. So I got baptized the summer before I left for college. And at my baptism, I was baptized in the Spokane River. I could not stop crying the whole time. Like my pastor asked if I wanted to say a couple of words, and I was like, I can't. I couldn't even talk. Like I was just like waterworks. So I went down, came back up again, just sobbing. Like it was I was wet, so you can see all the tears running down my face. So yeah, baptized at 17, turned 18, moved to Houston at 18. 18 was the year that my life changed. So like, it was always like, yes, I knew the Lord, but like, I didn't know the Lord. So 18, I got to college. I met one of my best friends to this day, her roommate. And we were like we called us the Three Musketeers. We were a little firing squad. Like all we did was like sit in our dorm and talk about Jesus, and like, we were 18-year-olds with all zeal and no wisdom. And so we were nuts. But I didn't know what it was like to have Christian friends. But every single night the Lord was encountering me. I was baptized in the Holy Spirit at 18, got my gifts at 18, got my prayer language at 18. started having dreams, visions, started operating in the prophetic at 18. All of that was just there. And I had like basically a year of like solitary confinement my freshman year of college where I was just trained up. Like it literally felt like the training grounds. I got deliverance at 18. That's a whole story in itself. My roommates and I, we were in prayer and we were praying over our parents and asking the Lord to help us forgive our parents because all of us have really kind of messed up parental backgrounds. And I was in the middle of praying for forgiveness for my family and it just like it hit. And so that was when I received deliverance. And that lasted hours. But it was delivered from anxiety, depression, like all these things, like manipulation, like spirits of like divination, a spirit of Jezebel, like all these things like that were not my portion. And that like I knew about, but like I didn't know how badly it was affecting my day-to-day life and just how I carried myself and how they were restricting me. And so I would say that really started. And I started walking in more freedom. And like, obviously, sanctification is an ongoing process. And so things come up and the Lord reveals things to us. And, you're walking down the line and he reveals like, hey, you got this little thing. And you're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea,
Right.
But that's just part of your journey. Walk. But it was that first fall semester that the Lord just really was like, I'm here and I'm doing things and you're involved. And and so it hasn't always been like that. That was a very rich season where I felt like I was very saturated, very protected, ministered to personally by God. And I've had seasons since where it has not been like that, but you have that to lean on.
Right.
And that's true.
Wow.
So that was like Spark Notes version, but yeah, I would say 18 was that
pivotal moment.
Was that pivotal season. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hannah, I'm sitting here and I'm being honest because I'm listening to you. I'm listening to your fire. I'm listening to the things that you're saying and your encounters with God. And God is doing something and he's going to really do something with your story because there's so many people, not, different age groups that are still trying to encounter God.
Yeah.
Trying to experience God. And sometimes it's in the mess, sometimes it's in the situations of our lives that he does encounter us. But I just feel like at 12, listening to you talk about that dream, I'm just wondering how many of us could have possibly had encounters with God, but we were not maybe in that frame of mind to truly see it for what it is, or maybe have denied it, along the way, along life's journey. And so you continue on that path, trying to seek and find.
Right.
Because at 1 minute, because you got that conviction at 12, that encounter.
Yeah.
That was that revelation of you being, with the prophetic gift and being a general. But then you still went on to still have issues, as you said, with your identity with Christ.
Absolutely.
And just like, is he even real?
Yep.
Does he even exist?
Yeah. Do I even care?
Do I even care? And I think a lot of people miss the mark where they think there's this line, the walk with God is like the straight line where it's perfect and everything is in place.
Yeah.
And your story is a testament to
it's so windy. It's so bumpy. And there are like, even times now where there'll be weeks where I'm not like maybe as closer involved as I should be. But like, that's also like one of the things that the Lord has really had to drill home to me is like performance. Like our walk with Christ is not based on performance. And like my personality has always been to perform. That's just what I know. And so if I don't have perfect grades, if I'm not keeping up with my health, if I'm not keeping up with my reputation, not pouring into my relationships, perform. And he has literally beaten me down to where he's like, you cannot perform with me. This is not how it works. And he knows that it is so hard to balance and reconcile what you're experiencing in the physical and, the struggles of work and school and friends and family and societal pressures and what's happening in our nation and all those things with his kingdom and his operation system. He knows it is so hard for us to really look at things with both perspectives.
Right.
And so there's grace for that.
Right.
But it's the continuation of taking what and taking his word and then shifting your lens and your perspective to look at even just the most mundane situations with that framework.
Wow.
And so that has been like, that's really difficult. How do you expect a 17-year-old to do that? I don't know.
No,
I don't know. So
you
it's
found
not,
grace.
right. Exactly.
It's
Grace and
really
mercy.
great. It's grace and mercy, and a lot of us don't give ourselves that level of patience to go through the things that we're going through, but also know that there is something on the other side of what we're going through. It's not always permanent.
Right.
And so I love how you delved into that. And so I know with college and everything happening now, you are very on fire in church.
Yeah.
And so just share a little bit about what you're doing right now to impact your community as it is
Yeah.
with what God has been doing with
Yeah.
your story.
So it's funny you bring up church. So I'm actually kind of in like a church hopping like phase right now. I've been to a couple of different churches in Houston where I've stayed for a couple months, and then I've gotten pulled, or I'm like, yeah, maybe not for this season.
You've gotten pulled how?
Either my like relationship with like my connections in the church, like maybe they were just for a season. And so, I'm like, okay, I don't really feel called to stay there. Some of my friends, my friend group, we were going to a church for the majority of this last summer, and then the head pastor left, and we felt like that was like, okay, yep, we need to move on. But I would say like primarily like my community is my campus. And so Houston Christian University, not many people know about it. It is a small private university in one of the roughest parts of Houston. And I'm telling you right now, that place is like sealed and protected off from the rest of the world. Like it's like an incubator.
From the deep part of your heart, shout out the name of Jesus. Remember everything that he's done for you. Everything that he's done for our nation. Everything that he's done for our community. All the places that he's healed you and delivered you and set you free. 2, 3, Jesus!
The people there are called, they're anointed. Everyone's got a really weird testimony of how they got there in the first place. Mine was weird. My best friend's was weird. Like we all kind of just, it was not our first pick. And everyone's got like I've never been around God-fearing people. It's not real life. So my like ministry, or I guess like my community is at school. So for example, this year I'm a senior, about to graduate, which like I'm not ready to leave. So I'm a resident assistant. So, which like people hear that word and they think dorm cop, they're like, oh, don't keep your head down. I got my vape in my backpack. We are a dry campus, and we do have things like visitation hours and strict codes of conduct, but, I don't view my job that way. My job for my girls is to be their first point of contact if something were to happen, but also just to be able to pour into them. I know that the Lord has called me to women's ministry and eventually to couples ministry, which I think will bleed into that. But my community is uplifting and strengthening my friends, my brothers and sisters in Christ, and then the people that I have been given some amount of authority over. And the Lord, I applied for this position once when I was a sophomore. I did not get it. And I was like, Lord, like I need the scholarship. Like it's so good. Like I'd be so good at it. Like I'm an extrovert. I'm a people person. He was like, I don't need you there right now. And he gave me another job, and that was satisfactory for the time. And I needed to learn what I learned. But, now I've noticed everything that he gives us is a gift, but he also knows that when he gives it to us in his perfect timing, he knows how we're going to steward it. So I don't think I would have stewarded this job as well if I'm even doing a good job now. I hope I am, but as well as a sophomore in college than as a senior. And so my primary focus is the people that are directly around me, and then training myself up, allowing the Lord to shape me and mold me so that when I go out, there's that courage, there's that boldness to just pull the random person on the street and like, hey, do you know the Lord? Like this happened the other night at the restaurant. There was this woman that came up to the host stand, and she was yapping about how unhappy she was with her husband that was still at the bar. And we ended up talking for like 20 minutes, and the Lord was like, you need to pray for her. And I was like, oh, right now? Like, I'm trying to leave. It was like 9:45. I didn't have any orders. I was trying to get out. It's like, you need to pray for her. So I stayed and we prayed, and she like broke down crying. And I'm like, that's why we do it, because he knows, he can see into the situation. He can see the outcome. He can see what it's going to shift in the spirit. He can see all of that. And he'll just give you a word. He'll give you a whisper. You know, how many times it's just a simple whisper. He told Abraham, go.
Right.
What direction, Lord? Go.
Just go.
Just go.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, I'm a type A planner. Like I need like right now, I'm about to graduate. I have no idea what my future holds. Don't know what I'm going to do with my career. I don't know if I'll be married in a year. I don't know where I'm going to live. Don't know if I'm going to go to grad school, all these things. And the Lord's like, get excited. Okay. But what? Like, you're not telling me. He's like, I'm not going to tell you. And I'm like,
I love
sitting
that.
here and I'm like clenching my fist.
You're like, he knows you're a planner. So if he tells you too much,
yes,
you're going to go run with that.
I'll run with it and I'll take it and I'll make it mine. And so he's like, I'm just not going to tell you what. No. And I'm like, it's like crucifying my flesh in the process. So I'm trying not to freak out, but he got me this far. So what made me think that he's going to let me down now?
Right.
You know?
Right. And I know I normally ask what's next, but we're still waiting on the Lord to tell you what's next. And I'm excited for what he's going to be doing in this next season of your life when you graduate. But there was something that was very important that I think for the listeners and for those watching to understand that, you know, God doesn't always talk to us in the same way. Someone might be listening and they'd be like, I need to all of what
I need to go do all the stuff.
Right. I need to talk to God like that. I need to, you know, encounter him in the same way.
Absolutely.
And as you said, because he knows you're a planner, he will hide some things from you. Yeah. And then he'll tell someone else a little bit more.
Give them that encouragement
and that next step. So I want you to share with the audience what that looks like when you are in an intimate relationship with God. Yeah. And how it might be different for everyone, but what is the main staying point in this being present and understanding that, what that looks like.
So my kind of drawing back to the point earlier, my father and I, we have amazing, long, godly conversations. He's kind of my discipler. And I literally call him like almost every day. I give him the download of everything. We talk about the stuff in the spirit. We pray together, all these things. So he actually said something to me that stuck out just for the particular trial that I'm in right now, because the trials be trialing. But he said something that has just been ringing in my ear for the past couple of weeks is the Lord knows how to get to the bunker beneath the bunker of your heart. He knows exactly how to speak to you, completely custom to your personality. What might convict me may not convict you. What I struggle with, you may not struggle with. And that's just because we're all so different. Right. And so I tell people, I'm like, what discovering and walking into an intimate relationship with Christ, you will never meet someone that knows you better, that knows what makes your soul fly, what fuels your spirit, what drains you, what exhausts you, what makes you angry, your triggers. He knows all of that, and he knows how to speak through that. One of the things that my mother told me 2 days ago, because my mother and I also have very wonderful, godly, anointed conversations. I was expressing a concern with one of my siblings, and I was like, Mama, like, I think you should know this. Like, you know, I'm the oldest daughter of three, you know, we just fall into it. You know, but I was telling her and she's like, okay, I know. Well, here's something that God told me that I think will bring you some consolation. And she was like, in her prayer time with the Lord, he said, Rachel, well, her name's Rachel, your mama heart, so her heart for her kids and all of its vastness and how big it is, and how wide and loving and caring and concerning it is, my papa heart is infinitely larger than that. So his heart for us is so, we cannot comprehend it. And he knows exactly what it takes to bring an individual to him, to courage and uplift, to convict, to discipline. That's one of the big things that the Lord and I have been talking about in this season is discipline. He know what's going to discipline me may not discipline you.
Right.
And we look at other people and we're like, God, what are you doing? You're just letting them. He's like, no, 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 no. You don't understand. I am a perfect father. So who are you? I was thinking about that in regards to someone I knew. And I was like, Lord, like, what are you doing? You're allowing this to happen to like him, to her. And he brought me to Job 38, which is when the discourse when the Lord finally speaks, and he's like, where were you when I created the heavens and the earth?
Exactly.
And I was silenced. And I was like, oh,
yep. Yeah, you're
right. You're right. And we get so wrapped up in our own judgments and our own limited perspectives, and he's got it. So I tell people it's an opportunity to get to know someone that is going to love you. And not in a way that we deserve, because honestly, we don't deserve it. But you'll never meet a greater love. You'll never meet a more satisfactory love. That hole that you have in your heart that you're looking to be filled, whether it's with relationships, friends, drugs, alcohol, entertainment, all these things, that void, where you're searching to fill that, because that's part of your identity.
Right.
That can only be filled by him. And he'll show you how and why. And that's the beautiful thing about it, is that when we come to him, we're a new creation in him, but he also takes us down the road of discovery of who we are.
Absolutely.
And he's like, this is what I look at when I see you.
Right.
This is who I created you to be. Completely unique. And that's a beautiful thing, especially in a nation that is like really wrestling with identity. All of our issues are concerning identity. People are taking up labels, putting down labels. I'm this thing one day, I'm this thing the next day. And he doesn't change, but he will show you who you are.
Right.
And while growing you and building you to look more like his son.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. And so it's a fulfillment of that promise. And that's the promise that talks about, the promise of restoration. You see it in like Jeremiah 30, 31, 32, 33, Isaiah 40 through 55, all of these, like the language used towards Israel, and the promise of like adding the nations too.
Right.
I will create in them new hearts, new wills, new autonomy, and that fear love me and can keep my commandments. But that's not because of anything we do. That is not by our own volition.
Right.
And so that's really cool that he gets to do that. Like he loves us that much that I was driving on the way here and I'm just like listening to worship music. And I'm just like, I just started crying. It's just so fast. I'm like, wow, you love me that much.
Yeah.
And you speak to me exactly in a way that I can hear you.
Yeah.
Which is different from my neighbors, different from my friends, different from my brothers.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Yeah.
My goodness. Wow. Hannah, listen. Whew. God is doing something so amazing in you.
Thank you. That means a lot, especially in the season I'm in. That means a lot.
You know what? The strength, the perseverance, and just the will and the rootedness that you have in God is so important in this season. Especially for, not just, I know I keep alluding to the younger generation. Yeah. We all need to have that desire and that punch, that fire to just keep going. And, we all face trials, but the trials don't define us in the season. It prepares us a lot of times. It helps us to get to that next level. Yeah. And so I'm just excited to see how God uses you in this season. Yeah. And, finding a home, or maybe not, because sometimes we don't understand that God has us in different missions. Right. It's not necessarily to be in one place. And so, I feel like when God, just like the disciples, they traveled. Right. They traveled all over spreading the word and sharing the gospel. And so I'm just excited. You just keep spurring me on, and you never too experienced or too holy to be inspired by someone else. I tell people all the time, I learn from the babe. Yeah. The baby crawling. The babes. Yeah. Yep. Because at the end of the day, who are we? We put ourselves here and God sees us all on, he doesn't separate us in that place. Right. Because he created us for more. And so I thank you so much for sharing your story, your
Yeah.
journey, and the things that are to come. And so I know there's some people watching, they're like, I want to meet Hannah. She is so awesome. And so we will, if we'll put your social media handles out, the ones
Yeah,
that you
absolutely.
so that people can connect with you, because I do feel like people are looking for a community. And
Absolutely.
if they find that in you, I would love to lead them to your page. So if you don't mind, you can share a couple of your handles for those. Well,
Yeah. I'm not super heavily on like social media. My Instagram, I have an Instagram. I think it's Hannah GS05. That's primarily
the main
it.
platform.
I don't have Twitter. I don't have Facebook. I don't have Pinterest.
Pinterest. Okay.
But yeah, I would say Instagram. Like I have, that's. I don't have a TikTok either. I got rid of that with the ban. That was my sign to
get out of
get
town.
out.
Okay.
But yeah, my page is. I mean, my page is private, but I take pretty much every request. So.
Well, Hannah, we'll definitely put your information in the bio, so you'll see that. You'll be able to check it out and just really be a part of what you're doing. I believe that we're all called to different things, and we have the different people who will be along that journey with us in life.
Yeah.
And there might be someone that's listening that might be your next opportunity. It might be your next big moment. And that just works in those mysterious ways. And I
It really does.
really love the conviction. And I also feel like your parents, I want to shout them out, man. Like
They're amazing.
they did an amazing job in the whole everything, as you said, the custody battle, divorce, but they figured it out.
Yeah.
And you have an amazing relationship with them. And so I'll let you give them a shout out.
Yeah, they're my biggest support. They're backing me up in prayer. They've taught me the most. I don't think I have words for how deep my appreciation and how like extensive my honor is towards both of my parents. I tell people that meet me, like they're always so weirded out because they're like, you tell your parents that? I'm like, I tell them everything, and they're like yes to my parents, but they're also my friends. And so Travis, Rachel, you guys are my favorite people on this entire planet.
Wow.
Yeah, they're my favorite.
Shout out to you both. You did an amazing job with this woman. And so we are grateful. Thank you so much for being on. Thank you so much for sharing that. Man, what a beautiful story. I'm just like still sitting here in awe. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just soaking it all in because that's what true conviction is. That's what it looks like. And it convicts you and convicts you and it convicts you. It keeps doing that. And that's when you get rooted and you believe even more. So we'll see you soon. Please click the notification bell and share this episode. If it really impacted you, share it with someone who might need to hear this testimony of her journey, of Hannah's journey. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you all for the support. Bye. 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 Okay.